The EMS Avenger Podcast is sponsored by Zoll.
All of my department's intubations are like 2/3 of them, 3/4 of them are
Cardiac arrest.
and our people won't get to do that skill anymore.
So you just want to take away intubation is what you're saying.
No, you want to take away intubation.
No, he's setting me up to.
I was like, is this a serious
called
proposition?
No.
He's provoking.
Yes.
Which is
So
good.
what
But
you're
it's an
saying-
argument we hear, right?
It
It
is.
is.
So what you're saying, Dr. Sani, is that it's more about you than it is about your patient. Is that the argument you want to make? I'm happy to get the media here. That'll look really good on the front
Headlines.
page of the paper.
Hey everybody, welcome to the EMS Show, the ultimate crossover episode featuring Jimmy Apple, the EMS Avenger, and of course, Dr. Jeff Jarvis from the EMS Lighthouse Project podcast.
Welcome to the EMS Avenger Podcast, the ultimate crossover between the EMS Show and the EMS Lighthouse Project.
I like
Okay,
it.
that's
I like
fair
it.
enough. Yeah.
I like it.
We are all sitting here together in Southern Oregon. We've all been here at the State of Jefferson EMS Conference, which is one of our favorite places to go. I know
Absolutely.
you've been here a couple of times. You've been here every time.
I've been here. This is the 15th or 16th conference.
Yeah.
I've been here for everyone
And I think I'm probably
You know why?
12 or
Because you're old.
13.
because I'm old.
Yes.
That's right. Wait a minute.
You're older than me.
I know by
Yep,
like
yep,
3
yep.
months.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're older than me.
And I've been doing this
Old.
a lot longer than you. Well,
Yeah.
at least the doctor.
The doctor.
So let me just say something real quick. They spent greater than an hour doing the same shtick in front of the entire general audience today.
So
And
much
then they
fun.
were probably so relieved because Jimmy went and closed them all out,
Yes.
and they could finally, be done with that. But yes, somebody's always older. You've all been doing it a long time. We get it.
Yep.
Is there statistical significance to the age at this point?
Right. Does it really matter, or is it just
Well,
ball
he's
busting?
older than me. That's what matters to
Yeah.
me. Yes. No, it doesn't. It's
But I
like,
think
what,
you're older
4
than me.
months.
3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
I think we did this math yesterday and we've already
Yeah.
forgotten,
Not much.
which is how old we are.
Yeah.
We both have forgotten.
Correct.
So for those of you who've been sleeping under a rock, you guys know Dr. Jeff Jarvis, EMS medical director, my boss actually, which is a whole nother
Oh, yes. Yes. yes.
story. And of course, Dr. Ritu Sani,
His
And then-
former boss.
my former boss. And we're supposed to do a handoff episode where my former medical director, we do a little thing. It's a ceremonial thing. And then he pushes me off. But we talked about that when it first happened, but it's old news now.
I would just want to say thank you for your contributions to improving the care in Fort Worth.
Oh, that's very nice. Well, we certainly miss him in
I'll bet.
in Oregon.
I can.
But I
I
have
can
more
see why.
space in my house, so it's all good.
That's right. It's like, I don't know if you heard that story, but I lived with him just
Yeah.
for a few months. But
Yeah.
Anyway, beautiful weather down here in Southern Oregon. I had the honor so this is about my 12th or 13th time. So I'm not far behind you.
Yep.
Because I was looking at Facebook memories popped up today, and boy, there was one from 12 years ago. So I know it's been at least 12.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love coming here because this is where I grew up in EMS. We're having the secret Dr. Pepper handoff going on right here.
We are. Yes.
But
From my lovely wife.
this place is this is like my home area, right?
Yeah.
And so I love being able to come back here and talking to the people. It's like old home week. Get to see a lot of my people that I went to EMT school with. I see like Erin Elder every single year. We come here and she was sat right behind me in EMT school, and we're all getting old now. I'm also seeing a lot of my coworkers that I used to work with getting total knee replacements and neck fusions and hip replacements,
Hip replacements,
knee replacements,
shoulder replacements.
Like Jimmy, we're getting old, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Prematurely, I might add. This job ages you.
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah. I have high cholesterol.
what do you?
It's weird to even hear myself say that.
Any
I'm a
minute now, we're
grandparent.
just
I
gonna
have high
start-
cholesterol.
Yeah.
Start talking about drugs we're on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Would you like my med list?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, that conversation is a whole lot different than when I had the what drugs I'm on conversation 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Slightly different.
Slightly different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had the opportunity to talk on a couple of, it's basically 2 topics. I did a sort of BLS Airway, and really, because there's a huge BLS, EMT, EMR component
Mhm.
of responders here, and it's very rural, right? And we'll see rural stuff, we'll see suburban stuff, but there are some folks that are in my class that it's 50 minutes till the next person's going to get there, right?
Right.
So we talk about getting resources to a scene early for help. That's 50 minutes, right? And so it's an interesting, diverse group of folks. So we talked a lot about just sort of like fundamental BLS airway stuff and really bag valve mask. And then we found out the same day that
As you picked me up from the
as
airport.
I picked him up from the airport,
I'm like,
he,
what are you
for
talking
some reason,
about?
had
Oh,
the
God.
same exact topic
Yeah.
like an hour later. And so
who wore it better?
well, what we did was we made it into a part 1
And a part 2.
and a part 2. And so
So he focused on like the basics and talked about like medical patients and cardiac arrest. And then I did a
Yeah.
trauma scenario and then talked about proper BLS airway technique
And you
instead of
talked
your
about-
head injury.
and you talked about the H-bombs.
Talked about the
Ah,
H-bombs and
yeah.
talked
Hypoxia,
hypotension and
Hyperventilation.
whatever, hyperventilation.
Yeah.
everything.
Exactly.
But really putting it on, because what happens in the real world? What did you tell me in the car the other day about like new guy shows up?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah. So it's like we use the story of like the EMT student doing their first ride along, right? And we want them to have a great experience. So they come out and we just happen to catch something good. And we're like, hey, why don't you bag them?
New guy.
New
What
guy,
about
yeah.
you?
Go
The
jump over
most
there.
complex skill we do.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So we talked about it. I talked about it, the physiologic impact of all of that overbagging.
Yeah. So I am convinced that we not only don't bag well, like form a good seal, I don't know that we can teach that. Now, you can do it one on, one off, but at a system level, particularly at a system the size of ours,
yeah.
1,600 clinicians, the vast majority of whom don't touch patients very often. They're firefighters on engines. I don't know that we can. So I have a very unique solution on how to handle this. Just don't even try. Shove a superglottic in and bag through that.
Oh, yeah.
That we can do.
For
'Cause
sure.
They can put superglottics in.
Well,
That's easy.
I think you've managed one part of the
Yeah.
multi-part system.
Now,
but-
what you do with the bag, that's a whole different.
right.
I agree 100%. And I've actually been saying this a lot over the last couple of months and advocating. I mean, once you've established your couple of breaths that you actually are able to ventilate and
But pure
have
is
good-
just seeing the rise and fall of the chest, of course. That's the only way to do it.
right.
Yeah.
Because chest
There's no
chest
other
rise
way to-
correlates so well
Yes.
to adequate tidal volume.
Yeah.
But that you should just not waste time and just put the supraglottic airway in as an adjunct in and of itself. Okay, so we suck at bagging, and because of that, one thing that we can do to make it easier is drop an eye gel immediately, so we are not playing the mask game anymore.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Now, we're still bad at the other part too, which is what do you do with the bag? How big bag? How fast should you squeeze it?
Right.
How,
I mean, if you look at Spate's all of the work he's done, why does intubating
Yeah.
a head injured, why is it bad? Because it gives you the exact tool that's perfect for overventilation.
but that's one reason. I think there are other reasons why it can be bad because we do it poorly. We don't adequately prepare our patients. We
Sure.
don't pre-oxygenate them, and then we fiddle fuck around.
We set them up for the H-bombs.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Don't have any H-bombs? That's okay. I got some.
Right.
So let me
yeah.
go back because you and I've had
Hold
this
my beer.
conversation.
Yeah.
You're like, just drop an eye gel,
Yeah. Well, a superglottic.
a superglottic. Sorry.
Are we staying away from
Just-
trade names?
Mm.
I guess not everybody uses eye
No,
gel,
we don't
as
use
it
eye
would
gel.
turn out.
What? Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
yours.
Air cues?
Here. Okay.
Not
cardi-
for any particular reason. Eye gels are fine.
Cardiac arrest. I mean,
Mhm.
you can't do that in a head injured patient.
Can't do what in a head injury patient?
Person with a gag, you can't just drop a superglottic. Can't.
Well, you can, particularly when you do it right, like say with medicines.
So
Oh,
no, but that's not the same as just dropping. And somebody taught me that when you're going to use medicines, you
Mhm.
should do a bunch of shit before you use them.
You absolutely. So I'm separating this out,
Okay.
cardiac arrest and non-cardiac arrest. When you are dealing with the cardiac arrest patient, I think that's one of the challenges you have to make a mask seal on 100% of those patients. Just drop the supraglottic bag
Sure.
for that. If you have a patient you're trying to prepare, say, for intubation, pre-oxygenate, mask seal is incredibly important. The easiest thing to do is just use BiPAP, particularly with a ventilator that has essentially some version of SIMV, so that as you give your paralytic, eventually they're going to stop breathing and they don't just turn off, right? Their tidal volume drops, becomes erratic. The vent will pick that up and then start spontaneously delivering breaths. Win-win situation.
Okay. But not everyone's got the fancy ventilators.
This is true. And we don't have fancy ventilators on every call.
That's true.
So you could use the poor man's, which is you'd go ahead and do a mask seal. You're still back to the mask seal, but now you have limited it to your most highly skilled clinicians, which is a smaller number. And I'm certainly
At
talking
least
from my system.
in our system, yeah.
For 1,600 people, you don't have to teach that to. But yes, the conversation that I was talking about was cardiac arrest.
Okay. Just didn't follow completely,
Yeah.
but I'm old.
And I'm
Something
an
that we had
active.
talked about earlier when we were all sitting at lunch, and a point that I think we need to really acknowledge is that we keep making these distinctions between cardiac arrest and between a drug-assisted intubation through RSI or DSI. Those are actually two entirely different types of intubation that have very little to do with each other. And competency in one does not necessarily extend to competency in the other. They are just entirely different skill sets.
Yeah. I mean, I could not agree more with that. And I think it's even stratified even a little bit more when you start talking about RSA, right? So a rapid sequence airway, where we're just planning on using all the medications. Anyway, so RSA, or delayed sequence intubation, right? Like, so it stratifies that even a bit further, and even those have different, right? You got to know when we're going to do RSA versus when we're going to just or sort of bail to RSA or go with RSA versus performing the whole DSI. So it's
Absolutely.
But if we think about it that way, well, all of my department's intubations are like 2/3 of them, 3/4 of them are
cardiac arrest.
And our people won't get to do that skill anymore.
So you just want to take away intubation is what you're saying.
No, you want to take away intubation.
No, he's setting me up to.
I was like, is this a serious proposition?
No,
he's provoking me.
Yes.
Which is good.
But it's an argument we hear, right?
It is. So what you're saying, Dr. Sani, is that it's more about you than it is about your patient. Is that the argument you want to make? I'm happy to get the media here. That'll look really good on the front
Headlines,
page.
Fred.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dr.
Front
Sani,
page.
local EMS medical director, says, it's okay if we hurt our patients, but it's good for us.
How can we get good at intubation if we don't intubate?
That's right.
That's the question, right?
And I think
You might feel a little bit better about seeing that on the front page, but I would argue you're still going to end up on the wrong side of that.
Of course, you're on the wrong side.
You are definitely on the wrong side of the argument.
But I think this is not an uncommon argument that I hear.
Absolutely.
It's like
I might have even made the argument.
If you move to like a supraglottic first or supraglottic only or supraglottic in your cardiac arrest cases, then you're really talking about taking this skill that's already low frequency and making it even lower frequency. I think Jimmy's point that, doing an intubation and a cardiac arrest and doing a drug assisted airway management are different skills but the mechanics of intubation, the laryngoscopy is the same. And what we do know is you need reps on it to be good at it.
Yeah.
That being said, I think I'm going to sacrifice my performance with one patient so that I think I might be better on another one. It's pretty kind of a piss poor argument.
Yeah.
Particularly when your frequency may be only 3-4 times a year. That's not really going to make you more proficient.
You also end up with making what is just on its face a really unethical argument.
It is an unsound medical proposition. I mean, generally speaking, I think this is actually a very EMS-centric argument that we have to intubate in order to get good at this.
Fair, but let's talk about, say, open appendectomies or cholecystectomies. So 30 years ago, 40, I don't know when we started doing this, so let's say 40 years ago, if you needed your gallbladder out, it was open. It's stem to stern, baby, and that sucker comes out.
My wife had her appendix out
Yep.
in 1998. It was open.
Scar starts around
Yep.
her knee, ends around her shoulder. Slight exaggeration.
Yeah.
But
Just a little wee bit.
the technical skill is substantially different. So when I had my gallbladder out, it was a couple of punctures,
Yeah.
and it was done essentially robotically. I mean, there's a human driving the
Of course.
wands, but surgeons made this argument. Well, how am I going to be good at these open surgeries if I'm doing the minimally invasive? But the minimally invasive was much better for patients. Who's it about? Is it about us or is it about the patient?
Right.
We also used to intubate people after you call the code. This was pretty common
For
practice.
sure. I
Certainly
did it.
when I was a paramedic student,
Mm-hmm.
would work an arrest, stop the arrest.
Yep.
There's a line and
Yep.
you're
You're
intubating.
getting your rep in.
And that's unethical. And thankfully, we recognize that and stop that.
There's actually a famous case within the last couple of years
Yeah.
where a department got in trouble because
Yep.
they were actually inviting people to the scene
Yes,
to
they were.
intubate after they called it. The way we normally would
Why
do
we
it,
can't
though-
have nice things.
right. The
I'm
way
just
we normally
keeping
would
my
want
mouth
to do
shut.
this for paramedics is they would go somewhere where there is a medical justification for the intubation, and then they
Sure.
assist or perform the
Uh-huh.
intubation, such as in an OR,
Yep.
or shadowing people around the hospital.
Mhm.
Sure.
To just say we're going to intubate this person because we want to get this person a rep, we know that
Yeah.
you technically can't even do that with an IV. Like CMS doesn't consider an IV to be justifiable if you're establishing the IV just
in
utility,
case.
right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
certainly they're like, hey, knock yourself out, but we ain't paying for it.
Right.
You know, I used to have a guy that, and this is the one I knew about, but I'm sure there were more. And just like the Blue Angels sit around a table
Mm-hmm.
and they go through the
That is so cool.
throttles up, smoke on a little bit more. They're going through their entire routine, sitting at the office desk, right?
It's like our Formula One drivers do too.
Just like the Formula One drivers do. And so I think, and I mean, that counts as a rep, doesn't it, Jimmy?
I mean, if you had an intubation log, sure, absolutely.
An intubation log. So the importance is the log.
I mean, I have to maintain a log of my intubations.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, is that a weird Georgia thing?
It's a system thing.
Oh,
But it seems like it's not really the piece of paper that's improving your competence.
No, the paper's not improving my
Okay,
confidence
all
at all.
right.
right.
No.
So
But
what I'm
they-
saying is,
they
would that count for you in that? And saying I've set up my mental model. I've got a 68-year-old
No.
cardiac arrest
I'm
patient.
guessing, yeah.
whatever. I've got
Maybe it
my
should,
kit
but-
dump. I've got max BVM going. I'm taking care of my patient. We're getting ready to go. I got my backup airways ready to go. Like you're going through all the steps. Like in my mind,
Yeah.
that's as good as
Turns
finding
out
a
I do that.
mannequin.
It's visualization.
Well, but so
I
this
did that a lot.
brings up, this is an interesting, and it's sort of a little side thing because it also ties into checklists
Sure.
a little bit. But we seem to think that we are somehow different and as cool as, and both not as cool as other things. And I'll use aviation as an example. Like you're talking about the highest of high performers in the aviation world who use visualization
Yeah.
as a technique to gain reps.
Yeah.
Well, people would say, Jimmy made a face when you looked at that. And now that's got me thinking, maybe that is a unique and reasonable technique for preparation for these high acuity cases like a septic patient, and just sort of going through the mental. High performance athletes, they do the exact same thing.
If I made a face there, it was because I actually loved the concept of
Oh,
that.
okay.
No.
Okay.
No, when he was saying that, I was thinking, man, why are we not actually doing that?
Well,
I
and
think
it's the
that's
same thing.
great.
Like when we talk about checklists, when we talk about checklists in EMS, we still often hear back, well, I should know. It's my job. I know how to do your job. Who do you think? Do the Blue Angels ever take off without a checklist?
I doubt that they do. Somebody's running that.
So you've got the people who are the highest performers in the highest field, right? Aviation, astronauts,
high stakes.
high stakes,
Yeah.
highest of high stakes.
Definition of the right stuff.
And then we're like, well, we're just EMS people. There's nothing higher stakes than the person's life that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
These are all, we tend to not give us our own credit for the stakes we're dealing with. And if you're having that kind of high stakes issue, I think using the same techniques and tools makes a lot of sense, which is which is why I think, yeah, we should be, looking at aviation. But I love this idea of sort of visualization and doing sort of almost guided meditation,
Yes.
of a critical incident.
Yep.
The other thing I often say when I have a medic say, well, I should know how to do my job. I'll say, does a commercial pilot know how to do their job?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course they do. So, so the next time you fly on a plane, just stop into the cockpit, because I always ask for a card.
The card on Delta?
Delta.
Okay. I didn't know they were still doing that.
Oh yeah, I got one the other day.
Okay.
I'll get sidebar on that, but and say, hey, I trust you. You are a pilot. You are a professional. Don't worry about checklists today.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You'd say, you just
shut up and fly.
You know how to do your job. Don't worry about checklists.
So my brother-in-law he was a B-52 pilot and then retired as a captain for American Airlines. And
I heard has Wi-Fi now.
Were
they always delayed in cancellations? Okay, all right.
Try getting a direct out of DFW and not on American. So we're flying around in his private plane. And I'm like, hey, Howard, I got a question. So we're going along, single engine plane that we're flying. If the engine quits, what are you going to do? He said, well, this is really easy. I'm going to take out this checklist and I'm going to hand it to you and you're going to read it to me. I'm like, Howard, we are plummeting to the ground. You need to do some of that pilot shit, Howard. You don't have time to do a checklist. And he said, Jeff, I don't have time not to do a checklist because one mistake and we're screwed. So I just love that.
It's like the famous quote from, I think it's from John Wooden, that said, "If you don't have time to do it right, when will you have time to do it again?"
Yeah. That's great.
So anyway, that was a nice little adventure off into
what are the odds
Airway.
that we would talk
about Airway? Yeah. One of the other things I talked about, and I would love to get your guys' thoughts on, is, again, for the specific audience that's been here, rural, BLS primarily, with a few intermediates or advanced. We talked about winning the call in that first 5 minutes when there is no one coming and it's just BLS. And so I had a really great discussion with no slides, by the way, because the AV system broke again. I didn't have a guy on a ladder in the middle of my class.
Our friends
trying to fix that. But there's a couple of key points that we hit on, and like as to why things go sideways, and it's usually not a big old giant crisis that occurs that derails. It's a series of these tiny little dominoes of early decisions that get made or don't get made that really start to veer us off into bad lands. Right. And so one of the things that we talked about was really having sort of a system of how they're sort of keeping an eye on the scene, how they're managing the initial assessment of theirs, which I have personally seen, not with this group, but in a system where it was, volunteer, very low call volume. They put the new people out where they never run calls. And then so when they get one, they're not quite ready for action, even though they thought they were. They took the class, man, they're ready and they got the stuff on and they look the part, but they couldn't even manage to put a regulator on an O2 tank when the stress was happening to them. So we talked about getting that initial survey done, managing those immediate life threats. And then one of the things that we talked about was the communication within each other on the scene. And then also when the help finally does get there. And we talked about the importance of a structured handoff. And so we used the example of the SBAR, right? Situation, background, assessment, recommendation. And we talked about in the framework.
Not to be confused with FUBAR, which is
is like what the AV system was most of the time here. But we love State of Jefferson, but there was some AV challenges. That's all. Just saying that.
In multiple different rooms.
And it's not even their fault. It was the college stuff, whatever.
It is the bane of every conference.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. We're not singling anybody out. But we talked about the telephone game, right? And if you think of all the opportunities there is to miss something or to miscommunicate something that we've done or we want to do, and I feel like the feedback that I got from the people in the class was that was probably the most important part that they took away from the talk was a structured handoff report. So, because, think of all the opportunities for, if we talk about a BLS arriver on scene, they do some stuff, ALS gets there, they got to tell us what they did, right? So we take in what they did, and then we have to do what we're going to do. And then we got to go tell our story.
Yep.
And hopefully we remember all the stuff that they did before, so I can remember to tell this, add it to the stuff that I did, and then give it to the next person, right? The nurse, and then the nurse has got to give it to the doctor. And there's a ton of opportunity for there to be a problem that affects the patient somewhere. So
you're right. You can't overestimate or overemphasize the importance of.
I told you when you stop anybody.
Yeah.
We practice when we do a handoff in the ED, we use 30 mist.
Oh,
and you have 30 seconds to go through this very, very specific list of what they want to know.
Yeah.
And
you got to practice that.
You have to practice it. And if you don't get it right, there's going to be an email.
Yeah.
And then you're going to hear about it. But in reality, it is, I think, so important to actually follow that to the letter.
Yeah.
It can go so wrong. There are some storytellers in EMS, and they want to tell you a story when they hand that patient off as a
storytellers in EMS.
Yeah. As opposed to just providing a snapshot to what you're seeing,
This came up at a panel discussion at the Georgia Trauma Conference. We were in Rome.
Oh.
And the conversation is, what would you like? The ER team was there and the medics were there. And the question was essentially, what do you want from each other?
So say less, fam.
It was great. And the field is like, I want you to hear what I'm saying, because what I have to tell you about this patient is important.
Yeah.
And so I want you to just stop and listen. What do you want? And typical trauma surgeon is like, get to the point, because we got to do shit too.
Yeah.
So I think both of those are very valid points. Figure out what you're going to say and practice it in your head before you open your mouth, unlike what we're doing on this podcast. Because the order that
EMS show, not
fair,
not Lighthouse Project.
Yeah, we don't have a teleprompter over there.
Right.
So the order that you say this in is also very important. We have been, since medical students, trained to present a patient in a very structured way. And you're in the ER, you have a couple of medical students, a couple of residents, they're all giving you reports at the same time, and you're doing your documentation. And
He has somebody
following
that
all
does
of
somebody that for him.
So you're following all of it until somebody starts telling you, going off script and giving you the same information in a different way. And I'm like, what? I can't follow this. I can't process it.
Yeah.
When I'm doing terminations, if somebody does it in the script that I've given them, I'm following it. I got it exactly. But if they say, well, they're in VFib now, but when we first got there, this was an unwitnessed arrest, and then we did an airway, and oh, by the way, the initial rhythm was this. Dude, can we just start over? I don't know what you just said.
The perfect example of this is when you go to a fast food restaurant and you give them your entire order. I used to do that. You're like, I'm just going to give them exactly what I want. I want the double cheeseburger, no mayo, extra bacon, no garden. I want a large fries with 3 ketchups on the side. I want a Coke Zero, and exactly. And this is to go.
And then they're like, what button do I push?
Do you want a cheeseburger, and what did you want with, you have taken away their ability to follow along, because now you are off their script.
Yep. Yeah. That's good.
So what's really interesting, you talk about the telephone game.
Well, we weren't, but go ahead.
No, we did.
No,
we did.
in fact, he was. But you were not paying attention because people were watching by.
Yes.
But
I was triggered.
So working in the emergency department, when I admit a person to the hospital, I put a flag on that chart, and I keep a list. And I read the discharge summary of every single patient I admit. And in the number of times that I read in the H&P or the discharge summary,
oh God, yes,
something that I never said, but they're like, in the emergency department, this and this and this happened. Like, there was a chart that I wrote that said none of those things.
And we had a conversation.
And we had a conversation. So I'm curious as we implement HDE here and our medics start to, I think one of the benefits is they start to see what's in the history that the emergency physician puts in, and they'll be like, that didn't happen that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's I twitch when I'm reading.
It's like that
did not happen.
Like, that's not how that happened.
Yeah. Nope. Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of telephone, I had this conversation earlier with Bob Page, and we were talking about how people learn in the field.
Mm-hmm.
And I started thinking about it, and I was like, our knowledge base is almost like a game of telephone. Our providers rarely have access to experts. That's becoming less of a problem in the social media age, but traditionally they never had,
introducing additional problems.
Right. They never really had
the naturopath at
experts.
Ritusis.
They never had access to expertise.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened was maybe one person learned from an expert, and then he teaches somebody in the field or he or she teaches someone in the field that is working alongside of them. And then that person gets a certain amount of time and rate, and then they
teach it,
but
slightly different.
But that's how you just described residency.
Okay.
And it's the same problem, right? When I was a resident, especially on certainly as a med student, I did my medical student rotations in a place that had not very much attending management. It was, and so I learned from a third-year resident.
Yeah.
Who learned their stuff.
If you're lucky.
Or who learned their stuff when they were an intern from a second or third-year resident.
Yeah.
See, I'm not saying it's good. In fact, it's the exact opposite.
Right.
A lot of medical training in general is still this handed down through generation perspective.
Yeah.
And even if you look now, like most of us still have a very traditional FTEP type program that you're going to get maybe like in my shop, they meet me once and they meet my partners a couple times, but then they're off to their field training component, which is a lot of stories handed down and this and that. And I mean, they have a task book they're supposed to get through. So you hope that everything is covered. But at the end of the day, it's still exactly what you described, Jimmy. And
what happens is at the other end, when they actually do end up getting exposed to expertise, they're actually skeptical of it.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
The fun thing is what we've just been describing explains the number 17. 17 is the number of years it takes to go from, we know this, we've clearly proven this in the literature, to be adopted in clinical practice.
17 years.
17 years. Knowledge translation. Way too long. Way too long.
Yeah. Wow.
So your point about, I think you were being very optimistic about the role of social media in essentially FOAMed, right? Getting open access education out there. I am obviously, we're sitting here on a podcast doing things that we hope are at least a little bit edutaining.
Yeah.
So there's some great information out there, but there's also some really bad information out there. And the challenge is, I think we have probably done a really bad job of teaching our students, probably our children, how to tell the difference between good information and bad.
Yeah.
One of my heroes, Carl Sagan, wrote an entire book about this, and he talks about this baloney detection kit. And he said, here's some really simple ways to tell when somebody is feeding you a line of crap. If they start off, doctors don't want you to know this. Have you ever heard a doctor who will just shut the hell up? No, we constantly talk.
Right.
We want to know.
Shut up.
Yep.
Interesting. Well,
so Jimmy, you and I were talking to Maya about something.
I feel like they're inventing noises.
I think they are. I think they are.
I think
the microwave was done. The ice and cheese
somebody's
around.
mac and cheese was finished up.
at least the people didn't come right to
We're
her.
going to hear an old school cardboard any minute.
Like a Model T.
Yeah. Woo,
Actually, that's Steve. He's great. We should have him on.
So we were talking about something, and I remember us having a conversation that this would be great to do, and we talked on camera. I don't remember what the hell we were talking about. What were we talking about? Because it
With
was
Maya,
yeah.
we talked about cardiac arrest. We talked about
Of the it was about the difference between
It wasn't really medicine though. It was, I don't know, it was decision, opportunity cost. And we were talking about the ease of adopting something and how hard it is to unadopt it.
Unadopt it.
So C-collars come to mind, backboards come to mind,
Mechanical CPR devices.
mechanical
Mechanical
CPR
CPR.
come
Yeah.
to mind.
yeah.
This is
intubation
the
and
reason
cardiac
some of
arrest.
us pushed so freaking hard against head-up CPR, because we've seen what happens when you get a bright, shiny thing and you push it out prematurely. And then it turns out that as promising as the bright, shiny thing was, it didn't pan out.
Right.
You cannot get that genie back in the bottle. Mechanical CPR everywhere, and people are absolutely convinced it saves lives, despite zero evidence for
Yeah.
that. As a matter of fact, there's decent evidence that it decreases survival, but we still grab onto that. So
I kind of look at mechanical CPR. I feel the same way that you do about it. But I also think that the users have determined how we're going to do CPR. And it's with mechanical CPR. And I don't know how you unring that
Yeah.
bell.
it's a challenge.
It's the desire line of medicine,
Yeah.
Well, let's as I said, let's look at what we have done so far, right? The process. So we get the mechanical CPR device, we deploy it into the field, we give them a set of guidelines to sort of work under, like when and how and like what's the best machine, right? We do that, and then upon further review, we look.
We should do all these things.
Right.
What we really do is we cash the check and they go up.
Okay, that's fair enough. But the point is, like, if we try to remediate the behavior and the behavior doesn't change, what are we supposed to do as leaders? We're left with only a couple of options. And one of the options is just take the damn thing
Take them
away.
off the truck, yeah.
Which, would that get people's attention? Yes. Would there be some kind of ruckus about it? I'm sure it would be. But like, I don't know how else you unring the bell. I think that's the only way you do it. And I don't know who's going to do it. They would have a damn uproar.
So, Maya was talking. So the way we do this, as you very well know, in Fort Worth, we still have MCDs.
Mhm.
They're all over the place. But I have said you cannot put the device on for the first 15 minutes of the arrest. Leave it outside. Great attention magnet. It walks into the room and everybody stops doing CPR.
Yeah.
Right.
I like
Please put them.
Tell the story.
put the fireman
Tell your thing.
Oh yeah, I always tell my crews that when the Lucas walks in the room, it's like the little devil dude sits on your shoulder. It's like, come on, I'm here. I'm here right now.
Put me
Just use it. Put me on.
Yeah.
Put me on.
Yeah.
And
Take me to bed or lose me forever.
Yeah,
So we talk about
Gotta play the
how you need to put it down and put it in the corner,
Yeah.
and how really we don't have a rule like you have at 15 minutes. But we talk about it being like 3 or 4 cycles through that you start thinking about how am I going to get this on. It is interesting because we train, I think all of us do a lot of reps on cardiac arrest in our system. And I will sit there and we will talk about proper BVM technique. And we will talk about, don't put the damn thing on, tell you're like in the very natural kind of like pause.
Right.
And then you go, let's just run through the scenario. And they run in and there's 4 of them. And the first guy just puts the bag down and is just doing this. And then the other guy walks in and goes, I've got the Lucas. And I'm just like,
Yep.
this is what we just told you not to do.
But it turns out, we do the same thing.
Oh, that's it's a
behavior.
human behavior thing, 100%.
So this is what, when Maya and I were talking about how I do this, she said, well, that's what you think they're doing. What makes you think they're doing that? And I'm like,
Because it's in the protocol. That's what happens on my calls.
No, one word, Kirby. We look at every cardiac arrest at the monitor file. You can tell when you go from manual CPR.
Well, of course.
And she times it, and we're like 95% compliant.
Yeah.
So Maya's like, well, how did you do that? I'm like, fuck if I know. We said, this is what you will do. And there was no wiggle room around it. I was just quite clear. And then I explained the rationale for it, and I talked about the science and what the evidence was. And I said, here's how I came up with 15 minutes. This is how we do these things. And it seems to work. Either that or we're really good at faking CPR files.
No, but I think what you are doing is you're looking, right? And when in one of my systems, we have a direct line of payment based on performance of
Back to the agency.
Yeah, we have if you
meaning through a contract, not to the individual clinic.
We have it through a contract.
That'd be something.
Yeah, that would be something. Through a contract, we have cardiac arrest indicators. I think, and I might try to talk about this at AMSB. And if they don't meet them a certain percentage of the time, there's a financial.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it penalty because it's more of like they get a bonus if they do really well, but they don't get that bonus if they don't do really well. So that's a penalty. And the behavior change in the agency was amazing.
Right.
So now I have to tell you, in that same agency, we don't track when the lupus goes on, but we track the number of pauses over 10 seconds. Kind of same thing. If you never put the lupus on, you don't have a pause of 10 seconds. And we have found that
a couple of papers that show you exactly that.
Right. We found that lo and behold, if you track it and you give people feedback and then you create an economic incentive, the behavior
change the system.
Yeah.
I need a performance-based contract for my paramedic services.
No doubt.
Right?
But when you do like a high-performance CPR train-the-trainer session, when these people are using those high-fidelity Laerdal mannequins, even some of the most data-resistant providers, when they see their performance thing there, it's changing for them,
When we, and I know Mike and Rich have heard this story, when I first rolled out DSI in Williamson County, I knew there was going to be a massive amount of resistance because, let's face it, intubating right is a pain in the ass. It is a lot harder, a lot more steps than just saying and shoving the thing in. So I knew there was going to be resistance. So I started off the lecture. I explained the science and I explained why we're doing it, and not much happened. So I said, okay, PDSA cycle, let's change how I present this. I went through and took all of our cases, and I had case after case of hypoxic bradycardia, cardiac arrest. And I just took the narrative. I, clipped out names, put the narrative up, and then showed the monitor file as the sats are dropping, the blood pressure's dropping, the heart rate's dropping. They go into cardiac arrest. You see the compressions. Case after case. And I'm not saying who the medics were, but I promise you they knew. Like, oh my God, I remember this. And now I had their attention. They are the biggest advocates for DSI now. So if we get their attention and show them don't point fingers at them. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. And I start off by going, and I know it feels bad to see this. Trust me on this. I've done this more than you have.
And
I don't mean done it right. I mean, I've done it wrong. I've made this mistake
nobody wants
many
to do a
times.
bad job, but people, if in the absence of any feedback or news, people just assume
that everything's great.
Everything's fine.
Right?
Sure, yeah.
Otherwise, I would have heard.
Yeah. And I do want to say, you bringing up DSI is almost as likely as Sheldon check the chest bringing up those sequence.
Yeah, for sure.
You're right about what you're passionate about.
All right. Well, listen, let's get wrapped up, guys.
One more thing.
Oh, sorry, Jimmy, go ahead.
So I've heard this said again and again, and it's something that I want to get out to my audience right here. That is the concept: we don't intubate hypoxic patients.
Yeah.
I really want for you guys to expound on that a little bit, because it's something that's almost profound to some providers. They've just never heard this. It sounds ridiculous. You ignorant slut.
Let me lead it in a little bit from the provider side for a second, and then I'll kick it off to you guys. So what you just told me seems completely not intuitive.
I'm intubating because they're hypoxic.
They are hypoxic.
Right. Yeah.
And my method of fixing that, because we're fixers, we got to fix it, is to put the plastic in there, and that will fix it.
Right.
Okay. So, except it doesn't fix that.
Yeah, exactly. Congratulations.
It may fix something, but you've caused some problems down the road with other stuff.
Yes.
Maybe?
So it turns out, number one, an ET tube doesn't ventilate anybody. It doesn't oxygenate anybody. All it does is keeps the tongue out of the way. Now, it allows you to do some cool things like oxygenate and ventilate, but the tube itself is not taking care of the hypoxia, regardless of what it is. So what you've done is add dead space. You've actually made your job a little more difficult. The process of getting that tube in is incredibly important. Intubation takes way longer than we think it does. I promise you, I don't care how good you are, you can put a supraglottic in faster. So that is an opportunity cost, and it's an opportunity cost that the patient has to pay.
Yeah.
So if we are saying that hypoxemia, the dose of hypoxemia, meaning how low it went and how long it was down, is bad, increases mortality, which it does. If we're saying the dose of hypotension is bad, then anything we do that makes that problem worse is bad and harms the patient. Intubating does both of those things. It has the potential to lower your saturation, and it will lower your blood pressure no matter what you do. Now, a perfectly healthy person, you may not notice it. It may not be clinically relevant,
But we don't.
but their blood pressure will drop a little bit, and that ain't our population.
That ain't our population. Yeah.
So one thing that is really important about the don't intubate hypoxic patients, until you do something. So you have to make it safe in order to intubate them.
Right.
And then by all means intubate them. So you prepare them for this first. And this is not a radical concept. It's just a radical concept in EMS. Talk to anesthesia and they're like, I don't know why you're putting fancy words on this. It's just how you should manage an airway.
Well, that's
you're sort of right.
When we were going through residency, we almost made fun of anesthesists.
Right.
Approach, right? Well, they don't know how to do an RSI like, I
exactly. They don't do crash airways.
And turns out that they were right. They were right.
Yeah. Right. Those damn pilots, they're just so methodical about things.
But what I talk about with my agencies, when I talk about mine, is that we used to see intubation as a solution.
Right.
We used to see intubation as a goal. What was a successful airway management? Walking into the emergency department with a piece of plastic in between the cords, and you're waving at everybody about how cool I am that I got this. And that. But now, when you really look at that, is not the definition of success. The definition of success is improving oxygenation, improving ventilation, and improving blood pressure.
Exactly.
That's how you're successful
without causing harm in the process. Yeah.
I guess the way when I say you're going to take this patient from here to here, you're not causing harm. So it's the journey is much more important than the destination. And there are a lot of different destinations that you go to that are equally kind of cool. You can go to the casino, you can go to the beach. They're all equally fun, but that's fine, whether it's supraglottic or BVM or what do you call it? The mega airway.
Oh, max BVM.
Mega BVM. I like mega BVM.
I told him he could use that.
But the journey is
Dr. Miller is twitching someone.
More important than where you got to.
Yeah.
It's resuscitate before you intubate, but it's so much more than that. It's like complete your resuscitation before you intubate.
So I'm a big fan. I am probably one of the biggest advocates for EMS intubation. I'm constantly, people accuse me of not being an advocate for intubation because I've restricted it pretty significantly in my systems. But I'm like, no, I'm an advocate for doing it right. Because it's not about us. It's not about our egos. It's about taking better care of our patients.
But that's what makes me a paramedic is the intubation.
This is the problem, right? Don't get yourself so wrapped up in one skill.
Yeah.
Because it's not about you. It's about our patients.
A paramedic is not a bag of skill.
Correct.
Paramedic is unminded.
Yep.
And those are the things that impact patient care.
Yeah. And both of those are incredibly important, both the mind and the heart.
My earliest mentor in EMS told me, don't fall in love with your interventions. So it's one of the most salient pieces of advice I'd ever had in my career, and I've never forgotten it. And I've never, at that point, have always considered intubation something like my practice is intubation avoidance, essentially, right?
Yeah.
It turns out anesthesiologists, they're like, I do a lot of things. I have a lot of knowledge. I'm not an intubationist. I'm an anesthesiologist.
Yeah.
So they, in their practice, have dramatically decreased the number of intubations.
For sure.
And they still feel just fine about themselves.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a good place to stop. So on behalf of Jimmy, Jeff, Ritu, Mike, you've been watching or listening to the EMS Show and
The EMS Avenger Podcast.
With
Side
a
of-
little EMS Lighthouse flavor. Just
Yeah.
Flavor. There was
Exactly.
we talked about research for a minute.
Yes, for one second. Anyway, I'll see you guys all later. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Take care, y'all.
Dark clouds rising black and gray, screams of chaos where we lay. Lights are flashing, calling the brave. The sirens wail, the ground shakes loud. Heroes emerge from the faceless crowd. EMS Avenger, racing through the fire. EMS Avenger, lifting spirits higher. Through the storm, through the night, chasing shadows, fighting the fight. Hearts of steel, ignite. When the world falls, who answers the call? Who can